Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And today we're coming at you with a video that was requested by one of our subscribers on the channel. They wanted to see an Atlanta Falcons team mock draft. So make sure if there's a specific team you'd like to see us do here on the channel to request it in this video. Let us know who you'd like to see. And before we actually jump into this Falcons team mock draft, I'm just going to urge you guys to hit that subscribe button. We're up over 4,500 subscribers now. You guys have been absolutely killing it. We're so proud to have you guys all as subscribers. And also leave a comment. Let us know what team you want to see next and leave a like. It's much appreciated on the video. So now we're going to jump in with the Atlanta Falcons here. You can see them selected. And we're going to go with our standard 3 rounds here. Now, the Falcons actually do have 2 second-round picks because of the Julio Jones trade. There we see Thibodeau, Stingley, Hamilton, Elam, Hutchinson round out the top 5. This is a really, really strong class, and we're here at 9. And for me in Atlanta, there's a few different things I want to grab. I want to improve the interior defensive line. I really want to focus on the defensive line in general. I want to find an interior defensive lineman and an edge player in this class. I also think a wide receiver is really a key need because Calvin Ridley, we don't know what he's going to look like long-term, if he's going to come back to the team anytime soon. He could potentially sit out all next year. And the Falcons, since he's sat out, have just looked not that good offensively. Their wide receivers don't create constant separation. I like Russell Gage as a slot wide receiver. I like Kyle Pitts. And his upside at that tight end spot, you can flex him out as well to the outside. But there's still some issues with this offense. I also think a running back could do wonders there in Atlanta. We've seen how productive Cordell Patterson has been. And I think Mike Davis, didn't really get to take advantage of what he should have been in Atlanta. And I think if they found a true number 1 running back, they could be very, very dangerous there in Arthur Smith's offense. But now here we are at 9. We see what's gone off the board in front of us. Evan Neal, Chris Olave, and Andrew Booth Jr., the last 3 picks. And we're sitting here at pick 9, and there's a few players I want to highlight. Starting with Jordan Davis, the Georgia product. Do we want to keep him in state here? This is attractive to me because he is so dominant up the middle. I can't imagine having to try and run the football against Grady Jarrett, Jordan Davis. Good blend of power, athleticism, quickness. I think he's going to be able to create some pressure up the middle as an interior defensive lineman. And I also think he's going to be a monster in the run game. It's going to take 2 guys to really chip and block him consistently so that he's not wreaking havoc in the backfield. He's been such a big part of that Bulldog defense this year. Atlanta fans, people from Georgia, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say Jordan Davis is a menace up the middle. Then looking here as well, we got 2 other players that I think are really key good fits here. George Karlaftis, another guy who's really, really good in the run. More of that true edge than what we see with Jordan Davis. You can play him on the outside. His freshman season for Purdue had 17 tackles for loss. This year, we're starting to see more of that production come for the sack numbers. And then DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M. I think he's the best talent available on the board at this point, which is where it's going to lead me to pick because I just think it's all about trying to bring in talent here if you're Atlanta. I think this could be a real trade down spot for them too if a team wanted to jump up in front of Washington, for example, to draft a quarterback. That could make some sense. We don't see Matt Corral go until 16 here to Philadelphia, which is a little head-scratching for me. But at the end of the day, I think Atlanta getting started here with DeMarvin Leal is very good. I know he's listed as an interior defensive lineman. You could play him off the edge if you'd want. Right now, they need some help at that edge position. Dante Fowler Jr. and Ogundeji, Adetokunbo Ogundeji, just not going to get the job done coming off the edge as outside linebackers there for them. Wow, this is a dream scenario here because I'm at 41. And there's a few players I want to highlight. Jamison Williams out of Alabama. I think this guy's an elite wide receiver option. I see him as a round 1 player. So him being here at 41, really good value if I want to look at that wide receiver spot. But then Drake Jackson, another guy I estimate to be a round 1 level player. He's an edge for USC, has over 24 career tackles for loss for the Trojans. Been very productive as well, getting a ton of sacks again this year. He is a very, very nice player. Let's go look at that edge position because there's a few other ones out here as well that I think could be really good fits into Atlanta. Jermaine Johnson, Kingsley Enagbare are the 2 guys that come to my mind here. Nick Benito as well, just for what they're looking for off that edge spot. But I think Drake Jackson, good blend, again, of speed, power, but mostly speed. And I think that's really what Atlanta's missing off the edge. You already have taken an interior defensive lineman with DeMarvin Leal who can play at that 3-4 DN spot. And then you come in, get an outside linebacker type here in Drake Jackson, who's going to really bring a lot of pressure off the edge. He's just too good at that edge position to pass up on for me at this point. I just had to take him. I know that there's another player out here at that wide receiver spot that I really wanted. I'm hoping he falls to me here. That's Jamison Williams. We do have pick 61. We're coming up. Jamison Williams goes to the Buccaneers. Shoot. I wanted him so bad. That really hurts, honestly. And then Jermaine Johnson's sitting here. So maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have went Jamison Williams and hoped to get Jermaine Johnson. I could have done that. Maybe that's what I should have done. And you're kind of seeing the issue now with that wide receiver room when I pull this up. There's just not a guy here. Justin Ross, I think, makes sense in maybe the end of round 3 or round 4. But a lot of these guys, Chris Ottman-Bell from Minnesota, he's going to get drafted. He's a very nice wide receiver. Just hasn't had the passing to him this year with some of Tanner Morgan's struggles there for the U of M. But just looking at this wide receiver room at this point, there's nothing that really super jumps out to me. Jalen Tolbert, interesting. Romeo Doubs, a nice Nevada receiver. He's been huge for Carson Strong this year. But I'm not in love with anything there. Quarterback position, just not going to touch any of these. Yurkovic's been out all year. Keaton Slovis was looked at formerly as a first-round guy. Look at him now. Just really bad year for USC. They have not performed the way that they had expected. Spencer Rattler lost the starting job in Oklahoma. Can't really see that being a good option. This linebacker spot, it kind of frustrates me because I wish I took Jamison Williams and then came back and found one of these edges. I'm not opposed to doubling down at that edge spot yet at this point. That could be an interesting way as well. Brandon Joseph, he would be a nice complement to Richie Grant because I think he's more of a coverage style safety, whereas Richie Grant can kind of bring some of the boom, but he is a good athlete, can still be out in coverage as well. So I kind of like Brandon Joseph here a little bit. Cornerback's also a need for me. But honestly, at this point, I don't think there's much of a drop-off between a guy like Nehemiah Pritchett and also Noah Daniels. So I think I can maybe afford to wait here. Josh Jobe as well. Could be a nice answer spot for me, too, a little bit later in this draft. Linebacker, I just don't see that as a need with Jones and Oluokun. I just don't think that they need to take that at this point, even though Chad Muma is an interesting guy. Edge, we talked about that. Offensive tackle, we could look here. A guy like Daniel Filele could be a nice improvement into the offensive line because you could play him at tackle or guard. I think he's really best suited to play guard. He's huge, really good in the run game, which I think would be nice. And while we're talking about the run game, let's look at the running back spot. Kenneth Walker would be the number 1 running back off the board if I decided to take him here. This could make some sense to me because I think that we do need a running back in Atlanta. I think they need someone who can be that lead guy like I talked about at the start of the show. Isaiah Spiller, though, as well, and he could make some sense. Breece Hall in here, too. Kenneth Walker, to me, is kind of the element that they're missing because he's very, very shifty, whereas you're looking at Cordero Patterson, obviously, has the great long speed and really, really fast with the football, whereas Kenneth Walker is quicker, if that makes sense. He changes direction faster, better out in space, actually making guys miss. And for that reason, I am going to take Kenneth Walker here. I just think he's too good of a player to pass up on at this point. We've already addressed the edge. We've already addressed the interior defensive line a little bit as well. You're looking at defensive front with Grady Jarrett. DeMarvin Leal, probably keep Tyler Davison in there. And then you add in Drake Jackson at one of those outside linebacker spots and probably keep Dante Fowler Jr. if you can keep him around. That's a pretty good group, honestly. I feel pretty good about what you have then with that. Benito's still out here. And you know what? We're going to really commit to running the football, I think, here. Especially with what's at wide receiver. I don't love it. So let's go into that offensive tackle spot. Zion Nelson, another guy who's kind of like Filele, not nearly as big, though. Zion Nelson, though, could play guard, probably best suited to play guard early in his career. Filele is huge, though. He's like 6'9", 400 pounds, and can move pretty decent out in space. Now, I think he's going to struggle against speed rushers off the edge with from time to time, especially with his lack of bend. But you want to run the football, you put Daniel Filele in your offensive line, you're going to do a good job doing that. We're going to take him here out of the U of M. I think it's a really, really good pickup here for Atlanta. Of course, our 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, we've made all of our selections. Now we'll see who else goes off the board here. And for me, if I'm Atlanta, I feel really good about what we grabbed. Wow, Benito goes really low in this one, 84th. I kind of wish I pushed off that edge spot and went with Jamison Williams. That would maybe be the only way I could have felt better about the draft. But at the end of the day, I still got a round 1 guy and the beginning of round 2 at pick 41 in Drake Jackson. So I have to feel really good about what I selected there. Tyler Davis goes pretty low. Looking at our draft here now, let's go ahead and look at the user picks. DeMarvin Leal, 9th overall. I think this is really good value. I see him as a potential top 5 guy. Drake Jackson, another guy who I see as a first-round player. I've mocked him in some of my first rounds on the channel. Make sure you go check some of those out. He's been really, really good for USC. He's been one of the few bright spots on that program this year. Kenneth Walker, probably going to finish 3rd in Heisman now, I would have to guess, behind C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young in no order there. I'm not sure which one of those two is going to end up winning the award. My guess would be Stroud at this point. But Kenneth Walker has been so good for Michigan State all year long. And then Daniel Falele, like I said, a massive offensive lineman. Let's see if we click him. Yeah, look at this. 6'8", 380 pounds is what they've got him listed at here on this site. Let's go look at Drake Jackson as well. Like I talked about, more that linebacker type where he's a little bit lighter, 250 pounds, can come off the edge. Then DeMarvin Leal. Let's look at him as well. 290 pounds, 6'4". So again, a little bit bigger, kind of like that Grady Jarrett build a little bit. Put him along the defensive front, put him on the D line, play him at an edge spot, play him at D tackle. There's some flexibility with him, which is really, really nice. It's a key part of building your draft out, is finding guys who can fit in multiple areas, give you different elements to your defense. And it's been a very, very balanced attack here now too, going with 2 guys on the defensive front, 1 guy on the offensive line, and then also a lead running back who I think is the best running back in the class. You get him 61st overall. That's really good value. 5'10", 210 pounds or so estimated. He was a Wake Forest Demon Deacon at one point, transferred to Michigan State in his first year with the Spartans, has been so good. I believe he has about 15, 16 rushing touchdowns, over 1,500 yards at the time I'm recording this. So he's just been so good for Michigan State. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and also subscribe. Again, here are the 4 selections in the first 3 rounds for the Atlanta Falcons in this team mock draft. Falcons fan, if this goes down on draft night, you have a lot to be excited about, especially defensively with these 2 picks. I absolutely love this for Atlanta. Quarterback, I just don't think it can come in this year's draft. I think that they have to wait 1 more year just with some of the needs on this team. They're 4-6 right now at the time I'm recording this, and I think that they have a bright future if they make some of these selections. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.